Welcome to the Profitable NDIS Provider Podcast, where we're joined by your hosts, Tania Gomez and Paul Bryan. In each episode, we'll be sharing valuable insights and tips to help you turn your NDIS business into a profitable venture. So whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, you've come to the right place. Let's stop surviving and start thriving.
Welcome, everybody, to the Profitable NDIS Provider Podcast. I'm here today. I'm Paul, and I'm here with Tania, my awesome co-host. And today we're talking about getting started with social media with Chris, the NDIS Ninja. How you going, Chris?
Great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No worries at all.
We're so excited to have you, Chris. We're excited to talk to you about getting started on social media, but also all the cool things that you've got going on, from your podcast to your book to the retreat to being nominated for an award. There's just so many amazing things that we could talk about. To begin with, I guess it would be good to get you to tell us a little bit about you, about Grow DSP, your digital marketing agency, what kind of services you offer to NDIS providers, your experience, and anything else that you wanted to tell our audience.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, I think when it comes to my experience in the sector, everything's been quite informal. If I'm honest, I started in the sector about 15 years ago, fell into the role, and everything has just been a natural progression from there. In terms of what we do for the last 8 years specifically, we've been helping providers grow through marketing, business development. What that looks like is everything from social media to, people and culture and things like that. Our tagline, I guess, or our elevator pitch is, we've helped hundreds of providers deliver millions of support hours, and that's at the core what we do.
Yeah, I love the huge banners that you have all over. Is it the M4? And we've got all those photos of you standing underneath it. I think that's just epic.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a bit of fun. It was we did it. We did it in IGA as well. 7-Eleven. So we have had these banners all over around sort of Western Sydney, and yeah, a bit of fun. But it's we haven't done it yet. But when I get some time, I want to do a bit of a case study about it. And basically, what we're trying to go is like, does this work? Or when you position that against digital marketing, obviously we got a lot more of a result from me using a photo of me with the banner than the actual banner itself being on the M2. So everything that you do with marketing, you sort of need to work out how do you leverage that and use it a second, third, and fourth time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Look, mate, I love the NDIS Ninja. I love the idea of that and what you're doing. But one of the questions that keeps coming up for so many people is, social media marketing, right? They want to get out. They want to just start throwing stuff up onto Facebook. And I think everybody here has seen the groups that are just full of the same post over and again. But do you recommend social media for NDIS providers as a marketing channel? And what performs best, if which one?
Yeah, look, as a marketing channel, absolutely, like it's needed. You can't get away without doing it. As your sole marketing channel, absolutely not. If that's, especially if you go into social media thinking, I'm just going to make a couple of posts and the world's going to change. It's not. You could, if you're a brand new provider and you go and spend $100,000 on ad spend, you're still not going to get a single service hour. It has to have a very strong content strategy around it, and then also have things on the ground that leverage that. So depending on the size you're at and what you're doing, how social media plugs in and is a part of that is very different. When you're at a larger size and you already have an established brand and trust within the sector, then social media can be used as an automated lead flow and things like that. When you're brand new in the sector, it doesn't matter if you have the most polished marketing in the world. Social media is not going to bring you that. The mistakes I see are exactly what you just said. So everyone will go and they'll start a social media page, they'll join these groups, and they'll go in and be like, hey, I need participants. It's like plumbers going into I like to use plumbers as a example all the time, but all the plumbers going in and going, hey, I need people's toilets to fix. Like,
Yep.
great. So does every other plumber around here. Like, what's the difference? And, with them, they're going to go on Google. Once they've got a bit of a image in the industry and in the local community, like whether they're sponsoring the local soccer team, people have heard of them, then you can sort of automate that and then start to offer things that aren't emergencies with plumbers and things like that. So it's very similar. You just need to work out what's the right time, when's the right time. A lot of people look at it, and the mistake I see a lot of people make as well is they might get their daughter or their son to do it and just think, oh yeah, they know Facebook. But if Facebook ceased to exist tomorrow, we wouldn't lose a single client. We would just pivot because behind what we do is the marketing, and social media is just one of the mediums we use. We could pivot that to whatever, because that's 10% of it. 90% of it is the actual marketing strategy for what are we trying to achieve at this point of our journey. And for the most part, it's trust. For early providers is we want to build trust within the community and the sector. So it's about, okay, how do we be creative with that and get in front of the right people and do that?
So you started to tell us a tip there as far as the first thing you do is build trust. If you had 3 tips for NDIS providers on what works on social media and I guess what doesn't work, outside of building trust, what are the tips that you would have?
Okay, it depends if we're talking organic or paid, I guess. Organic, we just want to provide value. So that's the first thing. We want something that is actually going to engage someone. So give me a sec, and I'll read you. So here's a good one. So we've got 5 types of content that actually convert. So that's content that inspires you. So, if you're showcasing the journey or successes of your participants. So if you already have participants, put that out and that'll sort of, inspire the audience. The next is content that educates you. So you want to provide information, whether like in Tania's case, it would be about the application process or not so much anymore, but, updates on policies and procedures and how to stay compliant and things like that. So that's the second pillar. The third is content that entertains you. So that's something that's fun, engaging, makes you stop scrolling and go, I'll stop and give it. Attention is the currency when it comes to social media. Number 4 is content that shares your views. So you might see, you'll see a lot with our podcast marketing that it all follows one of this. So content that shares your views. Obviously, all of the providers that follow us buy into the unapologetically reshaping the sector messaging that I push. So they're sick of brand new crap providers that have never been in the sector before, just here to make a quick dollar. So they share that view, so they'll engage with that just because it resonates with them. But then finally, it's content that challenges you. So one example that I can give for that is you want someone to watch it, not necessarily disagree with it, but challenge the way they're thinking, which as an example, if we use Tania, a content that she could put out that would challenge your thinking would be audit's not a bad thing. It helps you become a better provider. Most people go, oh, audit sucks, whatever. But they're the 5 key things. If you're posting, hey, check out my new SIL property availability, it doesn't meet any of those. It's not going to, hey, I've got availability for complex care. So does everyone, man. Like, it's not going to make a difference. So not really 3 tips, but more 1 tip, but across 5. They're the content pillars or forms of content that you want to use.
So it's content that inspires you, content that educates you, inspires, educates, entertains, shares your views and challenges you.
Correct. Yeah.
Amazing. That's great. Yeah, that really gives kind of a framework to how do you then break that down. Before you talked about organic and paid, can you just explain for a brand newbie what is organic and what is paid, and do they have different purposes?
Yeah. So organic content, you've got a couple of things that you're trying to achieve, and then the same with paid. So with organic content, a lot of it is there. So when if we look at this entirely, for use of a better word, as a sales process, right? We do it in 3 ways, which is opportunity, pedigree, urgency. So opportunity is if we say someone that's self-managed, and the opportunity is your child can get employment, right? The pedigree is, here are all the other participants that we've helped get employment. And then the urgency is our program closes June 30. So it's sort of, that's the process you use in selling. Now, with organic, what you want to use is really use that for the pedigree side of it. You can do it with that, but because what people are going to do is they're going to see your first ad or your second or your third or your fourth. We're actually really bad with this on Facebook, but really good with it on Insta, is when you see any of our ads, you then go and click on, and then you might see, for example, a pinned post of me standing under a billboard on the M2 with my head on it. Something where there's social proof, and it contributes to the pedigree to go, oh, this is someone that's there. You also look at the other pinned posts that I have on Instagram, and it's me talking about person-centered paths and other providers that we've worked with, some tips on how to get in front of support coordinators, stuff where people go, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been in the sector for a significant period of time. So that's the process we want to use. Organic sort of really plugs into that pedigree, and then the opportunity part is where you want to go, hey, I've got a new sill house. But you obviously want to be a lot more creative with that. So you go, hey, I've got a new sill house. Pedigree is, hey, look at all of these other sill houses, look at these success stories, look at these participants that have come to us and transitioned into ILO, or, completely independent and only have drop-in support. And urgency is, we've got, it's filling, we've only got 3 rooms. So the difference there is you would use the paid for your opportunity to draw in the audience. You use your organic to build relationship. And then urgency would be almost user generated, just in the fact that it naturally expires.
Yeah, that's cool.
Question, sorry.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. So we've got looking at social media as far as what is the opportunity that you have for your prospective clients, your pedigree, which you've said is really around social proof and your pedigree, as it says, who you are, and then the urgency should be natural and should be more around user generated, because it's going to happen anyway. That's really cool. Yes. I'd never thought about it that way. I know you've talked to me about these type of concepts before, but it's interesting to think about organic really being that pedigree side. And I guess that's where that personal branding stuff comes in, and why you see so many people building their personal profiles, whether it's me who does that or whether it's Paul also does that. And you do that really well also, Chris.
I think Chris is like literally the ninja at it. I see him everywhere on posts.
You can't miss me. Buzz me.
I can't miss you. It's fantastic. What you've just gone through there, I think, is massive value. So all of our listeners, go back and listen to that. You've actually got to get an idea. He's just giving you some absolute gold about how you should actually be really connecting with participants here. For some of our listeners who might be interested in getting into actually having a proper marketing strategy rather than just a dump and run post situation. Could you explain what that process looks like coming to you, what sort of strategies you would use, but also what someone might avoid to cause more problems than good, maybe?
Yeah. Look, there's so much to it. One of the key things on getting conversions is building audience and then building trust with that audience. So the first thing that you want to do is, like I said earlier, the currency with social media is attention. That's the cash of marketing, right? So what you need to do is you want everyone to, as part of the process of engaging with you, you want them to take more action at every point. So that if you at a very, very high level, without going into it and us spending 5 hours with that, what I would do is put together a bit of a plan that makes people take more action at every point. So the first one might be they might stop and see a post. So, when you're scrolling and you've got the post and then the caption, so they might click more and read the caption, or they might click on the photo. That's the only action we want, because then they've actually stopped and engaged. Facebook, all of these platforms will note that as an engagement. And then as we go further down the process, we want them watching our videos. We want them reading through our website content. We want them applying to get an information pack or download a resource. We want them to sit there and listen to a 40-minute podcast of me talking nonsense. We want them to be giving us more and more attention along there. And we've built the trust, and then we're then able to get into conversion. So with a marketing plan for social media, what you want to think is, okay, where's the first piece of content? Where's the last piece of content? And how can we get more time buy-in along that way?
Yeah, brilliant.
That's really interesting. When you're working with NDIS providers, what type of monthly budgets are you working with? Are we talking about thousands of dollars? Are we talking? Is it a huge marketing budget you need to start out? Where do you start, and how do you figure out where the sweet spot is? I know, like, I've used Google AdWords in the past and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Google AdWords. Is Google AdWords where we start? Is it socials? What kind of budget, and how do you decide?
Specifically with socials, where you start is organically. Instagram and LinkedIn are obviously a great tool. I can't speak too much about LinkedIn because a bit of a confession is I don't run my own LinkedIn. So the girls in the office do that one for me. But Instagram I do. And it's just about a quick, easy, cheap one is to go and engage with other profiles and those other key people in your place, in your space. But I've seen both sides of the coin. I've seen providers that have spent over $500,000 before they've delivered a single service hour. By contrast, I've seen providers that have spent under $700 and they've got 20 participants. So it can be a very cheap exercise or it can be a very expensive exercise, but it depends how you approach it, what the strategy is, and what part of that marketing and business development strategy that is. I know that's not a very clear answer, but basically, it can be very cheap, and a lot of the time it's offset by how much knowledge you have in that space and how much time you have. If you've got no knowledge and no time and need it to happen really quickly, then it's going to be really expensive because you're going to need to pay a videographer, you're going to need to pay a marketing person, you're going to need to pay a content creator, you're going to need to pay an ads person, etc. If you have enough knowledge to go, okay, these are it's how long's a piece of string, but the more time you have and the more you can offset and do yourself, the cheaper it's obviously going to be. And there's obviously a lot of information out there. We live in the age of information where you can educate yourself to a level to at least be, what's the right word? Sufficient, proficient in that.
Amazing. That's great. And how can our listeners connect with you if they want to get started on the social media? How can they connect with you and engage your services?
Cool. So just I say this just on Instagram, but I've got so many messages in there I haven't got back to, or the website inquiry as well. So just growdsp.com.au. Can submit there. There's not too much info on there, but I think a lot of the value that we put out is on Instagram too. So even if people just want free tips and stuff, we've never planned on using that as a tool to generate work. It was more, at a holistic level, we really want to push the sector forward. And if we can educate providers to be better and help people become the best versions of themselves, then that's all I'd like to get out of it, is more people, learning the right things to do and, how to keep pushing our sector forward.
Oh man, I love that. Look, again, I'm just going through some of those notes that you've done today, like really building trust, creating that value, the 5 types of content. And we're going to put some of this in the show notes. People can go through and have a look. Listeners today, if you're at the point where you're really needing a hand to get this done, jump on to Chris's Instagram because there is so much value there for you, and absolutely reach out. Thank you so much, Chris, for today. That has been very valuable, I think, and hopefully challenged a few people on their thoughts of what they should and shouldn't be doing as well, because we see so much of the same generic things going on. And there's really good providers hiding behind bad marketing at the moment. So
yeah,
I'd love to
absolutely.
see it really get out.
Yeah, no, thanks guys for having me on. I think it's important that, sorry, I know we're just wrapping up, but very quickly, what we see is we see a lot of really slick business people that aren't great providers that are able to do business at a really marketing at a really high level. And then we see a lot of really good providers that aren't. People normally come to us in the first instance because they want to get in front of more participants. And really the only thing you need in this sector to get participants is be a good person and provide a good service. The disconnect comes from how do you let everyone know that? And that's why marketing is so important. So if you can get those tools, if you are one of those great providers and someone has those tools to help you bridge that disconnect, then, it's really off to the races.
And Chris, before we go, tell us about your podcast and tell us about your book and about the wonderful Bali retreat.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So our podcast, it's got absolutely no structure to it. It's just a lot of Rachel from Alara and myself. Just we sort of just wing it. But they go for they're intended to go for about half an hour. They go for about an hour, and there'll be 20 minutes of nonsense in there. But basically what we do is we're trying to find really great providers doing innovative things in the space and sort of challenge the way things are done. A lot of the podcasts all have the same underlying message, which is, be a good person and the rest will follow. But we're unearthing some really interesting stories. So some of them you'll listen to and go, wow, I got a lot of value out of that. And then others you'll listen to and go, that was the funniest thing I've ever listened to. We never know which it's going to be, but it's really great. It's a lot of fun. Book, not finished. I've got the second draft back, so I just need to update that when I get some time. So basically that's going to be a guide on how to network effectively in this sector. We're not selling a can of Coke in this sector. It's a very unique sector. We've got so many moving stakeholders. So all of those require a different strategy. And then, of course, Bali, that's something that I'm so excited about. We've a lot of the providers that we work with have all given us the same feedback around expos and networking events. And we thought, hey, how can we do this in a really different way? Obviously, the whole retreats workshop concept isn't new, but it's certainly very foreign to this sector. But we wanted to show that it doesn't have to be a quantity model. It can be a quality model. You can put 30 people together on the other side of the world and they can all come away with the most education they've had towards this sector and the best, strongest networks they've had. So basically, we've got 5 days over in Bali. We've got some amazing speakers, amazing activities. We got nominated for I did for sector innovation. I don't know if it was for that specifically, but, just for, that's, I think, the most innovative thing we've done. So I assume that plays a part of it. But that's all closed up. We're off in a week and a half now. We're getting a lot of great feedback and a lot of people wanting to come, but it's all closed up now. But really looking forward to putting out some content from that for everyone.
And will you do a retreat each year? Are you going to do it again? Or are you just doing it as a once-off?
Yeah, one and done. Basically, to be entirely honest, when it comes to cost, like the money that's had to go in, because we've just kept adding things in when opportunity. So we've actually ended up subsidizing it for people that are coming. So financially, it doesn't make much sense, but as a way for us to give back to the sector, like we're so far deep into it that it was like, we have to. But I think the outputs for us are, we're going to get an industry body together of 30 really incredible people. We may do something like this again in an entirely different way, but in its current format, at its current price point, it's absolutely never happening again.
That's sad. That's sad to hear, because I'm going to Bali. I'm so excited. I'm in the swing of packing bags and bought new luggage, and it's really exciting. And already from the people who are going, who I've connected with, I've made some amazing contacts, and there's a number of just amazing people who I've had the opportunity to meet with, have coffee with. I'm actually bringing them to Paul's networking event next Tuesday, so he's going to be able to meet them. And there's just so many cool people that you've managed to find that are doing some really amazing things. So I think for me, that's what I'm most excited about, is 5 whole days to build those relationships. And we probably won't have that opportunity again to spend that time with people. And I've got 3 of my current clients going as well to spend that much time with them. That's also really exciting.
Yeah. Well, it was 850 applications. So,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was insane. It was a lot of phone calls. There was a lot of people that missed out purely just because we were really, really, not that they weren't great, but because we were looking for the real superstars. And then there was other people where it was just a flat no. But I think that is the biggest draw card. And also, I think everyone else going thinks the same thing because no one's coming selfishly. Like, how many participants can I get out of it? That's, of course, going to be a knock-on effect. But we've really identified the 30 best people in the sector. I think that's the most important part of what we've done. So, the like I said before, the quality over quantity model. Put a lot of resources into identifying some real superstars to bring an amazing group together. It should be an accolade to everyone that is attending. On that, I've hundreds of providers that we've worked with. These are the best people that collectively, not just me, but we as a team have found. So anyone that's got a ticket and is going, they should wear it as a badge of honor, certainly, because they're doing amazing things.
That's amazing. Thanks again, Chris. Thanks for joining us today. We learned so much from you. Next week, our listeners can tune in to hear all about what is SDA and should I be considering it with the wonderful Deb Kindness from NDIS Property Australia. Join us all then, and hope to all see you in Bali, Chris.
You will. See you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Profitable NDIS Provider Podcast with Tania Gomez and Paul Bryan. We hope you found today's episode informative and valuable. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a rating, and share it with others who could benefit from our insights. Until next time, keep thriving.